Am I still missing her?
Let me look.
I'll do the roll call. Okay. So what we're implementing this still. So for this one, we're gonna try doing the roll call to members, and then also you will introduce yourselves in the intro section as well. So Kip.
Here.
Tia.
Forgot what I was supposed to do.
Here.
Conrad.
Here.
Jorge. Okay. Leslie.
Here.
And Gabby.
Here.
All right, and moving on to intros. So PCCEP members, please pick up and introduce yourselves and your role on the committee.
Okay, I can start. My name is Tia Palafox. I'm a co-chair of the Policy and Reform Subcommittee for PCCEP. My pronouns are she, her. And thank you so much all for being here tonight. And I'll pass it to Kip.
Yeah, hi, Kip Silverman, he, him pronouns. The other co-chair of Policy and Reform Subcommittee. And again, with everything going on, really appreciate everybody being here. I will pass it on to next person I see, Conrad.
Thanks, Kip. I'm Conrad Hewlin, he, him pronouns. I'm currently serving as one of the 2 interim PCCEP co-chairs. I echo what Kip said. It's really great having everyone here. I'll pass it over to Leslie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leslie Martinez. My pronouns are she, hers, and I'm on the subcommittee. So yeah, that's my role. I'll pass it on to Gab. Yeah, I think unless.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
My name's Gabby Pochia. I am a member of PCCEP and a member of the Policy Subcommittee.
Thank you. Okay, so Jorge and is Viva here tonight?
All members of the subcommittee are present except for Jorge.
Okay.
And now we can open it up for city, PPV, and monitor introductions. And I will begin. I'm Dory Grabinski, PCCEP Program Manager. Thanks for being here, folks. And just jump in.
I'll go next. Liz Taylor, she, her, PCCEP Program Coordinator.
I'm Alicia Russell. I'm a lieutenant with the Portland Police Bureau. Thanks for having me.
Hi, everybody. Robert King. I work for the Police Bureau.
Antoinette Edwards, Associate Monitor.
Dan DiMatteo. I'm the DLO Coordinator for the Dialogue Liaisons.
Cool.
Hello, hi, I'm Sarah Ames from the City Attorney's Office.
Hello, my name is Afrida Davis. I'm a facilitator. And can you hear me okay?
Not really. So hopefully that improves. Yeah, you're very spotty. All right, and chairs, would you like to read the community agreements? We'll move back into the slides.
Sure, I could do it. So our community agreements are to listen actively and respectfully. I guess I can turn on my camera too. There we go. Share airtime, be present and open to new information and perspectives, assume positive intent, respect each other, respect the group, speak your own truth, communicate directly, honestly, and respectfully, ask questions to clarify, call out bias, and be okay with ambiguity, please.
Tia, I think this is you, unless you'd like me to do this one.
Sure. I'm sorry, I got distracted by the long chat. the overview of today's meeting is we'll start with updates and then go to the main topic is the continuation of the federal presence in Portland and the Portland Police Bureau interactions. And then end it off with the open public comment. To start with updates, we have.
Yes, thank you, Tia. I'll take this one. So
Okay.
we have quite a few updates for everyone tonight. So once again, keeping you all in the loop on PCEP membership and staffing. So we are going to be having the first council hearing for our 6 new PCEP appointees next Tuesday on November 18th at my estimate would be it'll be at around 3:30. So any current PCEP members are welcome to attend. Anyone from the public is welcome to testify and support or just tune in to see who the folks are. And so that'll begin the process of the appointments at full council, which are tentatively scheduled for December. Also this month, our posting for the community engagement staff, the job posting will be on government jobs next Monday, which is very exciting. It is happening. And yeah, we will keep everyone in the loop about that, including the interview panel and that kind of thing. Sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit, but also in December, we're planning on having an initial onboarding event for those new members that'll be more of a social. So we'll keep you updated on that. And yep, January, February, we'll do the onboarding, the interviews for the staff position, and schedule a retreat at some point. So just taking opportunity of having people all here in the meeting to get on the same page about our schedule. And next slide. All right, Tia, I think it's back to you.
Next update is we will be holding the Independent Monitor Town Hall to go over their new report on Thursday, November 13th at Vancouver Avenue Baptist Church, 6 to 8 p.m. And the draft report is now available on their website. I can look up the address, but I think if you plug in Vancouver Avenue Baptist Church, it'll pop up for you. Hopefully people can make it in person. Is it hybrid?
Yes, it is.
Antoinette, okay.
It is. And it's the fellowship hall. I want you to be clear that it's a separation of church and state. It's the
Okay.
fellowship hall.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't catch that.
And then also, I realized I forgot to put the address on the slide, but I believe the web address for that draft report I think it's portlandpolicemonitor.com. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Liz
Yeah, but
posted it already.
that's accessible to the public, so that's tomorrow. Feel free to take a look, and we could just flip ahead to the next slide as well. I know these reports can be a little confusing. I just wanted to outline for anybody who's interested in attending tomorrow. One of the key parts, or I would say it's sort of a key to reading the report, in my opinion, is on pages 17 and 18, where it compiles all of the paragraphs that have been assessed for compliance and basically gives this report card. And it also includes the progression over time. And then you can kind of go through the rest of it and look at the paragraphs and the specific remedy that the monitor is assessing to see why the finding was substantial or partial compliance. So just wanted to give that little preview for anybody interested in checking that out before the event tomorrow.
Great, thank you. And do look at the chat. There's more details about it from Liz. Thank you so much. On December 8th, 6 to 8:30, PCEP will be meeting with the mayor and other leadership as our public meeting. So the public will be invited to that. And we'll have more information coming soon as far as the location and how to access it online. It's going to be really exciting to sit down with the mayor and ask him some questions and hear his updates about public safety and the community.
And Conrad, not to put you on the spot, just going back to that one, would you want to speak as interim chair to what sort of the vision or the initial plans are for that meeting?
Yeah, we're super excited. It's going to be fantastic. We by policy get 1 hour with the mayor in a public setting, and we're excited to kind of cover what has occurred this past year and where PCEP's going for 2026, and to hear some thoughts from the mayor and his team about where they're going in 2026, where alignment could be. And then in the second hour, to both hear from other members of city leadership, as well as have an opportunity to take structured public questions. And so as more information comes, we'll blast it out, but we're absolutely excited. It is a Monday, but that's what works on the mayor's calendar, and we'll see you there as soon as we have more details.
Great. Thank you so much for chiming in.
Thanks, Conrad. Okay, and then another staff one here. Sorry, there's so much text, but we wanted Liz and I, our PCEP program coordinator, wanted to let everyone know that we attended a conference last month called NACOL, which is the National Association for Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement. There were some other city people there as well. And we went to all of these sessions. So a big variety of topics covered. It was really informative. And yeah, we were looking forward to potentially sharing more info about what we learned in the future. So we just wanted to be transparent about that and share that opportunity that we had. All right. And next, back to you, Tia and Kip.
Okay, I will talk a little bit about this. Let me grab my notes. I wanted to put this in the notes and let you know that the Policy and Reform Subcommittee would like to work a little bit more with the Community and Public Safety Council Committee, otherwise known as CAPS, to get updates and make sure they know what we're doing and stay connected with them. And I put the team in the chat, and we'll hopefully be inviting someone to represent them to give us updates in the future. But I copied the link here because I did go and listen to the November 4th meeting, and it was really great. If you can go back and look at that for the up-to-date information that they're working on. One was Portland Street Response was there and gave a report on how they're doing. And it was really neat to see their expansion and what they're working on. Stephanie Howard, that a lot of you know, was there and talked about the expansion of shuttling people off the streets into shelters and working on trying to get them into sobering centers. So that will be great to hear more from them. But that was an update that I listened to, and they talked about the discussion of potential legislation. And let me look at my notes again, what else they covered. And hopefully in the future, a representative will come and give updates. But what I found was they talked about the PSR and Regional Disaster Preparedness Organization presentation. There was a potential legislation related to community and public safety. So there was 3 different topics that this committee talked about with the community, and I put in the link so that you could go and watch it, and it was great. I hope everyone can see it, and I'm hoping that you'll understand that I don't have a lot of information, but wanted to share that we hope to do more of this work with giving you the updates from CAPS.
And then also, so that was the November 4th meeting, thanks Tia, and then flagging for everyone. the November 18th meeting, which is next Tuesday.
Okay,
But as I previously said, that's when we'll hear the PCEP appointments. And in addition to that, the rest of that meeting is a presentation on the DOJ settlement. In case anyone is interested in hearing that. Yeah, so it'll be kind of a very, very PCEP relevant meeting next week.
yes, very good. Thank you so much. Okay, PPB directives up for review. If you've been with us before, you know how I've gone through and read these so quickly. But we do want to continue to show the directives that are up for review in both first review and second review. And so we'll look at those, but the thought tonight is to have us as a committee read through them before the meetings and then possibly make it a little bit more meaningful by picking one that we want to work on as a team and then put in a team effort to write up a review for the police department. So I sent out some information to our team and wanted to discuss that a little bit more tonight, but the ones up for review right now are the crisis response teams, and the evidence funds use is both due, the review is due on November 14th for those, which is in a couple days. And I wanted to also give for the community who might not, sorry, I'm copying something. Here we go. And if you don't know me, I have a brain injury, so here we go. Doing the writing helps me with communication. So what I put in the chat was information and instruction for directives. You can go there for the community who would like to learn how to write public review for directives, which is such a great way for the community to be involved with the police department. As well as you can register and for email updates and subscribe to the directives that are coming out for review by clicking on that link. So I want to share those two informations about the directives, share what the upcoming review dates are, and then talk about would the team like to make it a little bit more slow paced by picking something and working together on a review, on a directive review. The second universal reviews that are due on December 3rd are directive review and development process, which is really important. It's really overall the biggest one, and then standard operating procedures, the confidential informant authorization, payment and file management, confidential informant use, which is really interesting. All of these directives are so interesting and ultimately are the police's rules. And then search, seizures, and inventories. So those last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are due on December 3rd. 2 are due in a couple days. So as I think we all know, we can go to the website and we can put on our own review and make the deadlines, but wanted to see if we can talk tonight about what you think about working up on something that we feel is really important to the settlement agreement mission and writing the review together as a committee. So can I open it up for our committee to talk about that for a minute? And what would you think would be important ones to work on? Kip, is there anything else you can think of?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. Yeah, so what are part of our new relatively standard update process? We want to highlight directives. So if you are interested in working on directives, and this is to everybody, and reviewing them and offering input, you can sign up to get them in your own email box. But based on either conversation in these meetings, in full committee meetings, or through input through our different means to connect with us, if there is a directive up for review that you would like PCEP to consider to discuss, please let us know, and we can talk about it as a subcommittee. Also, as we have extended tenures on these on PCEP, there are directives that might come up for review that we've discussed previously or touched on previously. The one off the top of my head is we have talked about the directives review and development process. And that is something maybe we can lean into as well. But it hasn't come up in the last couple months because of our meeting schedule. So what really want to hear from is from the public and what's important to the community and also to our fellow PCEP members, so that if there is something that we should dive into and discuss, we have impetus to do so.
Thank you. Conrad.
Thanks, Tia. And appreciate all the work and putting this together. I think this makes it succinct. The only one I wanted to call out is just so everyone, we know it's under the second review, but that first one under second review, that 0010.00, right? Because since that's the rule on how they do the rules, or sorry, the directive on directives, as it were. It just, that one is always imperative that we're double checking, since it will help dictate how the rest of the directives go. But right, they're all on a cycle, and this work is so important. So appreciate it.
Yeah, I can add on to that. I know in the past we have had conversations about making, and Dan Handelman had leaned into this frequently, making the directive process more accessible to understand what's changing and accessing it, as well as providing feedback and information on it. So we probably should take a look or a conversation at it offline, and I can go back through previous notes. And we have discussed in meetings previously also that this being one of the most important aspects of the work that we do with PPB in the city, that we might bring this up out of cycle as well. And
Great. So, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I see Rochelle's question in the chat. It's been brought up several times to revisit the exculpatory evidence. I've been talking all day. My tongue does not want to work any longer. I apologize. And I do think that is something that we will be revisiting. As far as I know, and maybe someone from PPB can speak to it, that there is still not a final decision on the final form of the directive. But once it is finalized, that'll be a basis for further conversation.
Thanks, Kip. And we can double check that if it's still one of the ones pending enactment, and definitely stay updated about the new version that is published, and then follow up as needed. And I'm also hearing that there might be interest in exploring that 0010.00 directive, so we can connect about that as a subcommittee.
Okay.
Following this meeting.
Yes.
Alrighty, so let's move on. So we are gonna start adding this after the updates section, just, out of respect for the public that is here. So, you know, because maybe something comes up in updates that you have a thought about, and we don't want you to have to wait all the way to the end of the meeting. So yeah, just a couple minutes here. If anybody from the public has questions or comments about things discussed in the updates section. Tia, do you have a clarifying question?
Well, can I add something to the public comment?
You giving public comment?
Yes.
Yes, how about let's wait to see if there are any hands from the public, and then we'll hear from PCEP if they have any additional thoughts.
Okay.
So anyone from the public have questions or comments about updates? Anything shared? All right, Tia, let's go to you.
I was just going to ask when we can find out about the NACOL conference, or how we would find that out.
Oh, like sharing information about
Just finding
what we
out
learned.
what it was about.
Yeah, I think that is probably a question I will Liz and I will pursue with the committee, because you know it's their meeting time, so we can if there's a desire to learn more about what we learned, very
Yeah.
happy to share that, and we can kind of connect and see if that's something they want to put on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Barbara. Corinne?
Quick question. So the city employees were represented at the NACOL conference. Were there, and I understand that there were no community members from Portland, were there some community members from other cities that were in attendance? Thank you so much.
Yeah, and Liz, if you have anything to add, feel free. There were, I would say predominantly the conference was attended by people in the types of roles that Liz and I are in, which is in a professional capacity working on a program that does police accountability or oversight or some kind of engagement. So there were lots of people in these types of staff positions as professional practitioners, and then also a lot of people on monitor teams. We ran into somebody from Portland's independent monitor there, and lots of other places. And in addition, there were members of boards in attendance as well, although a smaller amount of people. Portland did send a couple of those people, they just weren't from PCEP.
Could you specify who were they and which boards they were with?
We put it on the slide, but I'm happy to connect about that later. I don't want to share other community members' information without their permission. Thank you. And Tia.
I didn't put it into the update because I felt like I had so much to share, but I wanted to make sure and say in public comment either now or later that a community member who's really valued in the community has requested, and PCEP agreed to review and get an update on the CBPA on the CBPA, which is the Community Board Police Accountability Team. And I just put it in the chat that it's a governing body. It's not an advisory board, and they investigate officers, impose discipline, and make recommendations. And so I looked into a little bit on their webpage, and our intention is to move forward with it, but not for this meeting because we're so full, but something that's important to PCEP and I think the community. And so we'll reach out to the contact person there and see if they can come talk about the updates and how it's going and a little bit more in detail. So I wanted to just spend a couple minutes to give that update.
Thanks, Tia. And any final comments before we move on? Or questions? All right. So I will hand it over to Kip, I believe, for the next agenda item.
Yeah, next agenda, oh, this is different from the slides I thought I saw earlier. I'm sorry. It's a super busy day. But we our previous policy and reform meeting, PPB was kind enough to field a number of questions. Oh, that's the slide I was thinking about. So, but Tia, did you have a question or is your hand just
No.
go up? Okay,
Sorry, let
all
me
right.
lower it. Thank you,
That's all right.
everyone.
So what we'll have in, let me back up. What we'll have in the future, hopefully when schedules align, we'll have a representative from Attorney General Rayfield's office attending to also field questions, because we know it's super important to everybody here in Portland, what's happening on the state and subsequently the national stage as well, and how that impacts and directs our local law enforcement. So some real quick things. I hate reading slides, but if you're not already aware, federal court Judge Emerget, I believe it was, permanently blocked the president from deploying Oregon National Guard without legal justification. It will probably go up through the chain, maybe to the Supreme Court. Oregon City Portland sued after attempted federalization of 200 guard troops. The court found no rebellion. So there's a permanent injunction at this judge's level, but it will probably, like I said, go up through the courts. So federal government will likely appeal, and the Ninth Circuit may do a en banc ruling on it as well, which means the entire Ninth Circuit may weigh in on this ruling. And one other thing is that Portland police, city officials, witnesses from all over government testified and contributed to the reality on the ground, which I'm super, super grateful for. So, and I'm sorry, I have food here. I'll be right back.
And thank you for that summary, Kip. So I can kind of just help us move into the core of this agenda item. So as Kip was saying, in October, the subcommittee met with representatives from PPB and had a discussion about how that federal presence was, what the kind of crossover was with them or not. And
Yeah, I
just
can jump back in and summarize. I apologize.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So our last meeting, we posed three primary areas of conversation with PPB. And we wanted to find out more about a reiteration of the sanctuary city policies that they follow, both Portland and state sanctuary law. Also about interactions and working with demonstrations and public order events down at the ICE facility or DHS facility on South Waterfront, and also wanted to ask them more about 911 and the ability for Portland police to show up and what roles that they can play if somebody has questions about a action by a supposed or legitimate federal law enforcement officer, and where they fall into what they can and cannot do. And we had a great conversation about it. We had a lot of clarity, but there were still a lot of additional questions that were asked in that meeting and subsequently. Liz was really kind to compile a lot of them, but we understand that PPB does not have answers on everything, but they've been kind enough to come back this evening and speak to a number of those things.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, hi.
I apologize. I'm having major technical issues tonight. Everyone, my name is Chris Lindsay. I'm the captain of internal affairs for the Portland Police Bureau. I'm one of the PPB PCEP liaisons who fielded a number of those questions. I can't turn my my video on, or this will crash on me. So I apologize. I'm just going to have to. You're going to have to bear with staring at a blank screen talking at you. So I will try to answer as many of the questions as I can. I have. I'm going to find it here. I'm trying to pull it up. I had some prepared answers for some of the questions. If there are any questions that, any additional questions that come out of this, or some that I just forgot or failed to answer, please let me know and I'll do my best to answer them. So if people are okay, I guess the question is, how much time do I have? Because I mean, there were a bunch, and some of them are going to kind of be rehashed of what was talked about the last time. So go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say we saved the bulk of the meeting to have you guys go through what you can answer and have further discussion, and then of course anything else that needs a additional clarification following up, we'll take notes and we can come back around again. So.
Sure. So in the effort for everyone's time, I know Sergeant DiMatteo of the DLO program is here. I know there's some questions regarding the DLO program, and I know it's my understanding, I don't think he can be here for the entire meeting. So I'm just going to if Sergeant DiMatteo is on here, I'll let him go first and talk about the DLO program. And then after that, I can get back to the questions surrounding DHS agents activity. Does that work?
Yes, thank you. And we received a request in the chat, just to preface all of this. If there are any questions that PPB is responding to, if you could also read the question. So whatever that's relevant, if you could just also read the question when responding. But yeah, I'll pass it to Sergeant DiMatteo.
Sorry, I'm out downtown right now, so I'm trying to work through my phone, so it takes a minute sometimes. So I'll tell you a little bit about the DLO program. It's Dialogue Liaison. We go out and talk with, and it's not only, some people think it's just protests, it's community events, it's protests, it's demonstrations, it's anybody who wants to talk with us. And part of what we do is try to help support people's right to free speech, so that everybody has the right to have their opinion heard and to have that opinion. Other people may not agree with it. It may not be what the city agrees with, but that's all irrelevant, because you have the right to have that. And my team, we're going to defend your right to have your opinion, regardless of what it is, just because that's the that's the First Amendment. Everybody has that. Part of what we do also is we do crowd stewardship. So at a lot of events or protests, we try to stay out of them unless there is a need for police intervention. The crowd is able to manage itself in most of these. The demonstrators, they're going to know what they want more than we do. So we try to go out, we talk to them, we find out if they have any plans, if they have any concerns, any wants or needs, and then we try to step back. Or we'll find out from them at what point would they like some intervention. Do they have de-escalators there who are able to help de-escalate maybe counter protesters who come? Or is that something they're not prepared for or don't understand how to deal with? But again, we usually defer to them to find out what level of involvement they want from the police. Let's see. And for crowd management type stuff, a lot of times we will work with the rapid response team. And we function as a kind of go-between between the protesters and command, where if somebody says like, hey, so let's say I'll use the marches they have downtown. Sometimes the marches will say, we would like to go down this street. And from that, I've suggested, well, here's the permitting process. If you want, you can go through that direction to have streets closed down, kind of like Rose Festival when they do that. Or if they're not comfortable going through that process, you can ask, and then I can pass it up to command and say, on this date, is that something that we can accommodate? And find out, is there a way the police and the community can work together to make an event successful, or to lessen the impact that it'll have on just regular city business? So those are primarily what we do. Currently, we have a team who's over at the ice facility on a nightly basis. And again, that is to help people, get out what their opinions are, to have their protests. Sometimes you will have disagreements, and we'll go over and we'll politely let people know, like, you know what, everybody has the right to their opinions. You may not agree with the other person, but talk about it, because sometimes people just kind of lose that perspective that everybody should be able to have a voice. And that's what makes having a voice important, is you may not agree with the other person, but at the same time, they might not agree with you. But if nobody listens, that's when people start fighting. And that's when kind of usually an enforcement has to happen. And we don't want that. I would always rather see the groups in the community be able to, politely disagree, or even they may even find a common ground. You never know. So that kind of in a nutshell is what the dialogue liaison program has. So I don't know if there's any questions that people have, or if I'm supposed to turn it over to the next person.
Yeah,
and again, so
yeah.
again, if people typed it, being on the phone, it's going to be really hard for me to try to find the kind of the chat section if somebody had typed in a question. So I am more than happy if somebody who's like on a full computer, if they read it, if there was a question in the chat, if they read it, I'll answer it. But it's probably going to, I'll be in a similar situation to Lindsay, where my screen will probably go and I might not even be connected, not knowing that I disconnected and was trying to read that.
Sure. Yeah, well, if any questions come through the chat, we'll read them out to you. Yeah, so let's pause here for any questions about the DLOs, or anything that's been shared. And this is open to the public as well. Tia? You're muted, Tia.
Okay, you did refer to getting someone who's trained in de-escalation. I'm assuming DLOs are trained in de-escalation, but is there another group that's like the RRT that you get to help with de-escalation, or are you all doing that as well?
So we help to de-escalate. The rapid response team can help de-escalate. However, their primary function is more of when there's an incident that needs some enforcement. A lot of times, though, they're out there too. Like, they're over at the ice building just engaging and communicating with people. But a lot of times they are sent in for focused arrests as well, where if somebody has been identified as having committed a crime and needs to be kind of removed from the group, that's what they will go in and work towards. A lot of times we'll go first to try to de-escalate people and let people know, peaceful protest versus, if graffiti, fighting, breaking, like what the difference between peaceful and not peaceful protests are.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tia. Kayla?
Hi, good evening. I had a question. I read an article from the Oregon Live, and it says that there are people who are streaming nightly and regularly, that they do it for some sort of attention economy. And I would assume that prolonged exposure to conflict would cause some sort of reactive, like psychologically state, the duress of the situation. There is a particular streamer and other streamers that are causing bias crimes. I want to know if the dialogue officers refer to the behavioral health unit and other units to have some sort of intervention or preventions to decrease that kind of behavior.
So we don't normally refer people to the behavioral health unit unless there is a mental health component to this. And then kind of you brought up a second part to where was to kind of maybe dissuade or prevent this. So that isn't something that we're going to do at all, just because they're streaming and they are going to have a counter view to other people who are down there. However, if the city were to go in and say you can't stream because you have a view different than the majority of the other people, we would then be chilling free speech, and that's part of the First Amendment. We can't do that. We can't tell somebody that one person's opinion is more valid or able to be shared versus another person's. But yeah, for the behavioral health part, unless if there was some indication this person had a mental health episode or was experiencing some of that, then it could be referred to the behavioral health. But the streaming itself doesn't rise to that level.
Thank you, Leslie.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you so much for being here and being on mobile. I know that that's difficult being out there. Just so I had a question about reporting and like incident reporting, what that looks like for your group. Just because I know that like part of it is trying to avoid conflict and things like that. But so I'm typically reports don't really get written unless like something actually happens or transpires. So I was wondering, how does that work within your unit and like what reporting is done when things happen?
So I guess it kind of depends on the reporting. So normally, like if we're thinking about if a person came up to me and said, I am the victim of this kind of crime, what we're going to do is we're likely going to call in the rapid response team to go, because they have more people, to come and take that report. And part of the reason we do that is if I were to just start taking the report right now, I am now not able to dialogue with somebody. If there, let's say, an arrest comes out of it, the rapid response team comes in and arrests a person, and now the dialogue officers are also involved in that because we are part of the investigative portion of it. Now the protesters, the group, they start wondering, well, why did this person get arrested? And part of what we as dialogue officers do is when arrests are made, we will tell the group like, well, here's why this happened, and help people to understand what was going on or what caused this action. If we are taken out of that, the group or protest, they are left to kind of come up with their own ideas as to why this happened. And we've seen it before where people say 10 minutes ago, that guy wasn't doing anything. The police just came and arrested him. And then the protester, the group may think, well, the police are illegitimate because he wasn't doing anything when I saw him. So they are now just arresting peaceful protesters, where we can then say, well, no, it was actually he committed a crime against another person. And this is kind of the result of that. So for reporting like that, we usually try to stay out of it. However, there's instances like the other day, a person came up and said, hey, I lost a component to my phone as I was running over here. And I had actually seen somebody pick it up. We went over, talked to him, and tried to get it back. At first, there was a disagreement because of their political opinions. But so we got involved in that part of it because since I had actually watched it, to try to pass something off like that would be a little bit more cumbersome. Now I'm trying to explain to another officer about it. So for those, I will write a report. But for the most part, we try to stay able to just engage with the community.
Thank you. Pia, is that a legacy hand?
I did have one more question that he almost answered. I was wondering if you all do, if DLO officers also arrest people, or is that not something that you have the power to do?
So we are actual police officers. We are the same as any other police officer. This is an auxiliary duty for us. Everybody who's a DLO is a DLO because they want to be with the community. They want to try to help and improve things and work towards it. And we believe in the First Amendment and people's rights. We try to reserve our arrests for if there's nothing else that can be done right now. So if I was watching an assault happen, yes, I'm going to intervene now because it's a life safety thing. If somebody came up and said, hey, this person just stole from me, I would probably then call the response team to come over and do that again, because it's property and that can be taken care of. It may take a couple extra minutes for the rapid response team to get there, but it also keeps me then free from doing that. But yes, we try to reserve it for life safety incidents like that, so that we are available to still be part of the event.
Thank you. And just as a reminder, members of the public, you are also welcome to ask questions if you want to get in the queue. And go to Gabby next.
Thank you. Thank you, Sergeant DiMatteo. Do you mind? I'm just curious how the conversations are going out there. I mean, I know that's kind of a personal question in a way, but I'm curious how your conversations are going and sort of what de-escalation strategies you're using and sort of what's successful and what's not working. I just kind of want insight on how it's going out there.
Sure. So the conversations range from people being appreciative for us being out there, people not understanding why we're out there, or not understanding what kind of is just going on in general over there, to people telling us to F off. So you have pleasant and unpleasant conversations. But regardless, and for me, they're all conversations, because if we weren't having these, people will then just make up their own kind of narrative as to what's happening right now without any input, or they're kind of in a vacuum, or may not know why the police are there, what they're doing. We've explained, we've had people ask, why aren't the police doing X action? Why did they do Y action? So a lot of it is just talking to people and working with people to help them understand things. The de-escalation tools we use, a big one is just listening. Everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to feel like they have a voice. So the best thing that I can do is I listen to people. Sometimes through them just getting it out, they just wanted to vent sometimes, and I'll accept that. Other people have legitimate concerns, like, well, I saw this happening in my neighborhood. What can be done? And then we'll try to talk through it. And I don't try to deal in a whole bunch of generalities. I will try to kind of not really pull the conversation, just kind of get more information or get them into a conversation about what it is they're looking for. Because sometimes it'll be, I heard from somebody else that this is going on. And I'll ask more about, like, is that what you're seeing? Is that what you're feeling? Or why? Why is it like this? And try to get both sides of it, so people think about the question of what can be done about some of the things they're seeing or experiencing or hearing.
And okay, yes, Gabby, I thought I saw your
Actually,
hand go back
yeah,
up.
no, I do. I do. If I could just follow up.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
if
thank
you
you.
have a follow-up.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you for that information. I'm curious because I had also like heard about like the streaming, sort of there being like a bit of an aggressive element like via streaming. And I'm curious if you're like, what is the strategy around when you see somebody coming in who obviously they're allowed to be there, but if you see it kind of causing a problem, like what's your strategy around that? Is it to separate people? Is it to like talk to the streamer? I'm just like curious sort of what's going on out there regarding that specific thing that's happening. And also, how often are you seeing that? Like, what's your take on that? Because when I read the paper, it seems like it's happening kind of a lot and becoming like picking up steam.
Yeah. So for the streamers, I just tell people, and it's, I want to say too, you have streamers who are on the left, who are on the right. You have streamers who are Republican, Democrat. There are streamers from each side, each political view, from no political view out there. And each one is trying to get their views out there, get their message out there. And I tell people that a lot of what makes the streams, trying to think, enticing, or where people want to view them, is the conflict. So if you go over there and you take their bait, if they're challenging you into this debate, or if you take the bait and go over there and talk to them, that's what's going to get the views. If it becomes an argument, if it becomes heated, that gets more views for them. So a lot of what I tell people is don't take the bait. If you have an opposite opinion from them, you can have the opinion. You can let them know you had the opinion. But if it's kind of goading, it's like if it's schoolyard type stuff, don't take the bait. Go listen to them if you want, walk away if you want, but nobody's forcing anybody to engage. And as far as once we see the conflicts happen, we'll go over a lot of times. We'll tell them like, hey, I'll ask, does anybody need any help? Is there anything I can do? Quite frequently you have one side versus the other will say, I don't like what they're saying. I want you to make him stop. And then we'll explain again too. Like, no, that's not a legitimate purpose of the police is to make speech that makes you uncomfortable stop, because that would then be me taking away somebody else's First Amendment right. So I explained to them, like, they have this. Everybody has the right to have their opinion heard. If you're not agreeing with it, it seems like you've been kind of sucked in. You're taking the bait. Maybe go find some of your friends. Go walk around for a couple minutes. Engage. But if you find yourself becoming heated, maybe you should take a break.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Kip.
Yeah, I appreciate all of that. The few times I've been down there, I believe I've seen you and others doing the DLO work, and I've been like hanging in the fringes because I want to hear some of the interactions and conversations, and it's been an interesting process. Especially I've been down there in a couple pretty intense moments too. My question is more around, and this is probably a broader question, but I wanted to pose it here because I think it's a future conversation we'd like to discuss is when the updated RRT was presented to us, we had a lot of questions about practices, policies, especially the liaison officer process, right? And what we've seen and what I've heard reported, and I've had some direct feedback and some personal experience, is that in some cases, or if not many cases, it seems to be a positive strategy that is working. And I know that the previous incarnation of the RRT, this incarnation, the 2020 protests, previous protests to that, and the PSU protests are all very different animals, right? There's not not an analogous experience through any of them. But I would be curious in understanding from the previous incarnation policies and practices to the new ones, if you have an opinion on the changes that you're seeing in the new RRT. And as a bigger question for maybe Robert King and leadership staff, would love to get a report out at some point on your own self-assessment on the improvements you've made.
So the DLO program kind of shifted between, it was tried in 2020. It didn't work out that well for that. We reformed and we're trying again for now. I wasn't part of the 2020 group. I wasn't part of any of the RRT stuff back then. So I won't have any meaningful input on that, just because I have no frame of reference other than kind of what I saw.
Okay, that's fair.
And TJ?
Yeah, I had a question. When I went down there, just something kind of struck me as odd. Why was the street blocked off up until the corner and past near the self-storage? Because I thought groups couldn't do that unless I think it was they had to file for a parade route.
So do you remember when this was?
It was very early in it, so it could be something you may have not have gotten to yet, or just with paperwork or something going on. I want to say it was one of the first 3 weeks.
Now because it really depends. So we don't typically block the street. So if the police were blocking the street, it could have been for several different things. A lot of times there was a camp cleanup down there. There could have been a
Oh,
crime.
no, it wasn't the police that did it. Sorry for interrupting. It was the protesters that were blocking.
Okay. And for that, it's some of those decisions as to what the city's going to intervene in versus not intervene in are made at the command level. It is of what is the government's interest or the government's role in doing something. So those aren't decisions I get to make, and that is that's passed down of, hey, we're going to let them or we're not going to let them, or you have to clear the street. Those are command decisions.
Okay. Thank you. That answered it.
All right, I think we'll just take 2 more questions here. Tia.
I'm asking a question that's in the chat and he can't read them. So the question is, has Portland Police Bureau ever thought of teaching de-escalation techniques to the members of the community?
So yes, we are working with the professor, Professor Stott. He's from England. He does understanding and managing crowds through evidence-based psychology. He's where we learned how to the DLO program from. So as part of working with him in a grant, part of that was trying to work with the community and do some de-escalation trainings. We've looked at kind of the neighborhood, they're called NET teams. I can't remember exactly what it stands, neighborhood emergency teams. So we thought of maybe let's start with those because they had expressed an interest of working with the city. I think we presented it there and some of them came back and said like that's not really what they believe they're meant for. So with that, we're going back to trying to find an audience for some of this. We have de-escalation groups who work with some of the protests who we're going to start reaching out, and they've said we'd like to kind of collaborate or work with you on a limited basis of showing you what we do and we can show them what we do. So yes, there is, it's still being worked through some community interaction on that.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, and I think we'll give the last question here to Kayla.
I just had a question. What kind of work does the dialogue liaisons provide when there are issues related to noise pollution at public order events, especially after 10 p.m.? Thank you.
So I caught the first part of it. You said what enforcement or what do we do for noise pollution, and then kind of the end of it I missed.
Oh yeah, what kind of work is there done just to decrease noise pollution?
So we abide by the city's noise ordinance. So an example is down at the ICE facility right now. You have a lot of people who are using megaphones, using speakers. 10 o'clock, the noise ordinance goes into effect. And we then tell people, hey, at 10 o'clock, there can no longer be amplified I think it's amplified noise down here. If somebody does not want to comply with the noise ordinance, we could issue a citation for that. However, again, that would be the rapid response team would come down and do that versus us. We more just explain to people why. Here's the noise ordinance. Here are city rules here. And this is why you can't. Because some people are like, but it's my right. And I understand. But you also then have city rules so that we go and explain things to people and try to help them understand more of like, here's why this would happen.
Oh, and Leslie, we can take your question and then we'll call it there.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure, but I'm wondering how often are you calling the rapid response team for things? Like kind of percentage wise, an average, like how much are you resolving versus needing to call them?
I can't really give you a percentage because it's gonna be under. Give me a second. Let me plug this in too. It's a very low percentage, if anything. most everything is just resolved at the us talking to you stage. Like I explained, the where the phone accessory was lost, I called them over just because for the DLOs, we're out here and there's two of us. So for me to try to take anything more investigative, and again, too, once we do that, we're now not talking to people. So for those things, I'd say we've called maybe since this started in June, and the back and forth 5-6 times. So of all that, that's kind of where it is of us calling for something. It can usually just be dealt with by explaining or talking to people.
Yeah, thank you for that.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sergeant. Is it DiMatteo? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Could you?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it takes me a second to unmute. I gotta pull it up. Yeah, it's DiMatteo. Yep, you got it right.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for engaging. Really informative. We appreciate you being here, especially in the field. So
You're welcome.
thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, so I think we will move back to the portion with our PPB liaisons. So Captain Lindsay, I don't know if you want to pick up where you left off and we'll turn it back to you.
Sure. So some of the questions that were sent and asked last time they kind of overlap or were duplicates. So I'm just going to kind of collapse those into one answer. If everyone's okay with that. In particular regarding around and I'll get to it later, but regarding PPBs, what can and can't we do with regards to federal agents when they are enforcing federal law and what is perceived to be either excessive force or criminal conduct. I'll get to that down the road. But the first question that I remember not knowing the answer to was, and I'm reading this, did the city of Portland utilize their new information system to allow residents and any small businesses in the area time to prepare for public order events? So essentially, this new information system, that is a PBEM function. That's Portland Bureau of Emergency Management. We provide information to them, and PBEM are actually they are the city bureau that puts out this new information based on the new information system. So I'd have to direct questions to them as well. I do know that our PIO will put out information and notify the community on large-scale events, such as location, potential crowd size, as such. So the next question, how is PPB verifying the federal agents are actual federal agents? Are we just looking at patches or badges? Essentially that there was a document put out by the chief's office regarding guidance for Portland police officers if they encounter this. And the answer and guidance is that a marked ICE or federal vehicle, agency uniform, and credentials are generally sufficient for identification. If uncertain, confirm through your sergeant or command using the established federal liaison contact. Do not detain or interfere unless there is an immediate threat to life and you have probable cause to believe a state crime is occurring. And that's not regarding ICE, that's regarding, regarding ICE, excuse me, DHS. What can PPB do in the moment beyond verifying the identity of the federal agent? Can they give out red cards? Can they provide the phone number to PIRC? Can they get the person's name and contact their families and let them know where they are? We have since developed business cards with QR codes and links to city website in order to direct community members to resources. Regarding the second and third questions, honestly, can we provide phone numbers to them? Can we get their info and tell them where they are? That wholly depends on how cooperative DHS personnel want to be with us in the moment. We can ask those questions, but DHS does not have to comply with our requests. I'm also unaware of any instances of this occurring at this time.
Thank you for that.
Next question.
No, I just want to say thank you for that particular update. And when those cards are ready to go, if you can share them with us, I'd really like to see them and amplify. So thank you.
Yeah, they are ready to
So-
go. They have already been distributed out to all the RUs. I just, like I said, I'm having technical issues, so I brought some home to hold up to the screen to show you, but I can't. Of course, I can't show them to you right now.
Okay,
So,
no
unless
worries.
I don't know if Alicia or Robert King have one on them they could show, but yeah, I can't do that. I apologize.
No worries, thank you.
Yep. So I'm going to kind of, there's a couple of questions that I'm just going to, like I said, collapse into one about, can you arrest ICE when they violate laws? And the answer I'm going to give is that, is what we want to give last time. If they are in the process of enforcing federal law, or they're in the midst of conducting a federal investigation, we cannot. And I'd like to refer people to, and I will pull it up here, a recent decision. Are people aware of the incident in 2023 involving the DEA agent in Salem? Essentially what happened is that a DEA agent was on a follow of a suspected fentanyl dealer. And during this follow of the suspected fentanyl dealer, the DEA agent ran a stop sign, hit a cyclist, and subsequently killed them. The DEA agent was initially charged in state court. It was moved to federal court, and the judge, McShane, and I'll put the decision here in the chat, you can read it if you would like, essentially states that because the federal agent was operating under, I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version here, it gets into more detail in what I put in the chat, but essentially that because they were essentially conducting a federal investigation and operating under federal statute, that they could not be prosecuted in state court. And that is essentially like, it doesn't get worse than killing somebody, right? And they were still immune from prosecution. And that's case law that has gone back for a number of years. So you can Google the incidents. It happened in 2023 in Salem, but unfortunately, you know, we cannot hold them to state law if they are in the middle of conducting an investigation or executing or operating or executing federal law. Now, that being said, sorry, go ahead. Yep.
Oh, I think you may be answering what I'm about to say, which is like, can you verify that they are operating under federal law, like with proper warrants, proper, you know, documentation and things like that? And that would be, I mean,
that's whole.
Yeah.
That's wholly dependent on their cooperation. That's wholly dependent. We can ask, but if they say I'm conducting an investigation and I'm not going to divulge this to you, we don't really have any avenues to verify anything further than that. We essentially have to take their word that that's what they're doing. And a lot of things will go into those factors, like, are they in uniform, right? Are they, you know, do they have their gear on? You know, what exactly, or where are they operating? Do they have people in custody? How many people are there, right? So that is a little bit subjective, but again, if they just say, hey, we're doing an ICE operation, and they appear and they have all their, you know, their patches, their badges, their uniform, everything, and they say we're doing something, we have to essentially take their word at it, and we can't go any further than that. We can ask, but if they stonewall us, they can do that.
kind of a follow-up on that.
Raised. Yeah.
We'll do Leslie's
sorry.
follow. Sorry, I kept muting myself. We'll do Leslie's follow-up and then take Kip's question.
So kind of a follow-up on that, could you document what is happening and like write your own report for documentation?
Yes.
And do you do
Yeah.
that? Because I think one of the other concerns that happens is like these people get taken, their families don't know where they are, and you know there's no record of like what happened to them or anything like that. So like if like, you know, there was assistance from documentation saying like this person was taken into custody by a federal or by somebody by claiming to be a federal agent or supposed, like, you know, alleged federal agent or something like that, that
Right.
could assist with some of the other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to get to that point. Yeah. So we are required to document those interactions when they happen on a police report. And so, for instance, like I was going to get to, like, I have an example of where somebody called in and said, hey, I can't go into too many details because there's CJIS protections here. So I can't give you names, locations, things like that. But I will say we took a report where somebody called in that a family member had gone missing. And it was, and they didn't know what happened to them. And a subsequent, I'll say, running a check of that individual showed that they were in DHS custody. And so that is something that is an avenue that we can do, but that's about as far as we can go at that point. But we do it has come down from the chief's office that if we do have these interactions, they are to be documented on a police report. You know, they're documented on body-worn camera as well, and then those reports are then flagged to go up to the chain of command all the way up into the chief's office, which I know are tracking these at the time. And some of them, if like for instance, if it's something that where we felt a law had been violated, but we still didn't feel like we could intervene, that's something that would be flagged for legal review. And then, but that's when the lawyers start getting involved at that point. And so we haven't had that instance yet, to my knowledge. So I don't know the step that would be beyond that at that point. So. Oh, Kip, you have your hand up? Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I appreciate the explanation, and I guess I'm building a little bit on Leslie's line of questioning. So I just want to make sure I heard that correctly, is that the federal officers or supposed federal officers aren't required to prove who they are. So it's really more of a, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but if they aren't required, but you are documenting it, I would hope that that would be a flag for conversation when you do, when Chief Day or whomever does talk with the federal liaisons, that that should be a courtesy that is offered to actually show identification. And I know, or I believe this hasn't happened yet, but if there are doubts that a PPB officer has that these people are legitimate, and there's some pretty convincing stuff that you can get on Amazon, is there any guidance from the department on what to do in that situation?
I'm trying to, give me 1 second here to pull up the document that's put up by the chief's office regarding that.
Yeah, I appreciate that
here. And I don't know if Robert or Alicia remembered off the top of their heads, but I've got it up here and I'll have to look for it. So it's a couple of page documents. So give me 1 second.
Yeah, and I'll add, just in recent chats that I've had with different people, with all the things that have been going on in my neighborhood at St. John's, that has been a question that people are like, these folks are like cruising the schools. We have no idea if they're legitimate or not, and what happens if they aren't.
Yeah. So again, it gets back to if we are uncertain whether these are actual ICE agents, we have avenues to confirm through established federal liaison contacts. Who we can contact and find out, like, hey, we're having an issue here. Like, can you give us like, are your people out here at this location doing X, Y, and Z? And we can find out that way.
Okay, that helps. And of course, if they say, nope, that's not our people, that's a whole nother scenario.
That's a whole other scenario that we will have to continue the investigative process at that point. So
okay, thank you for that. I'll share that
and deal with that.
All right, we'll let you jump back into the questions, Captain Lindsay. Those are all the hands right now.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you can get back into the flow of the question document. I think those are all the hands I see right now.
Yeah, so next question was, have we seen where PPP officers have engaged with federal law enforcement to verify their identity? To my knowledge, we have not had any instances of that. I was given 4 4 documented cases essentially by the chief's office. Again, they're tracking this when someone called 911 or made a report or wanted to make a report about, you know, somebody gone missing or potential ICE activity, but based off of that, there wasn't any actual interaction between, actually, forgive me, I'm sorry, there was one interaction between Portland Police and an ICE agent, or DHS agent, and it was verified that the person was a DHS agent when their car was getting vandalized or something to that effect. I do know, and I don't know how many of this, and I know Lieutenant Russell was looking into this, but there have been times where Homeland Security agents have notified BOIC ahead of time that says, we are going to be here doing this, and that comes up as like an information call. And that's not necessarily something we would go and automatically start monitoring unless there was a reason for us to do so. If 911 calls start coming in or any other issues start out, but that's not something, you know, given our resource staffing levels and call volume, that's something we would be able to staff and just start going to like monitor and observe, if that makes sense. So that's fully subjective depending on our availability at the time. I don't know if Alicia wants to add anything to that, but.
No, I don't really have much to add, and I just have just a larger number of calls involving federal agents, ICE, or them calling us. I mean, I think it's been since October 22nd. So, I mean, just a few weeks, it's been 142 calls, and that is total, like I said, of like he said, federal agents saying, "Hey, we're going to be in this area." It is people calling in, regarding ICE. It's about the facility. It's just kind of that, wide range, what dispatch has gathered, just information. And that was 142 calls since October 22nd.
Right, and the last question I remember not being able to answer, but it was still put in the chat, but I'll just touch on it again. Could we speak to the difference between the use of force for PPP and the use of force for federal law enforcement agencies? Essentially, they have to operate under the Graham standard like we do. They operate that the force must be objectively reasonable under the totality of the circumstances. You can, if you search for Department of Homeland Security use of force policy, it pops right up, and it's a document you can read. But they operate under the same constitutional standard that we do. So, and I know the questions are, what's our role if we see what we deem to be force that is excessive? That is just something that can be documented and set up via report. If we feel like it's completely egregious, that's something that we can document and send up to the chain of command for review. But if it's just the force they're using, we don't have a lot of avenues other than to contact their professional standards division. They have their own like IA, and they would be contacted to investigate that use of force at that point, because that would be a policy violation. So those are the questions that when I read through, that I felt I didn't have good or sufficient answers for. So I'm open to any other questions or comments going forward.
Yeah, I see Leslie's hand. Sorry.
Yeah, so I just had a question, kind of a follow-up on your explanation about sometimes like you'll get a heads up that there will be an action, but due to staffing and things like that, there isn't really a way to go monitor the situation or anything like that. Is it a possibility in those instances to coordinate with community groups?
I'll just jump in here. That's usually when they set, say, hey, we're going to be in this area doing, a warrant or something. That's just information. That's information that dispatch says over the radio, and then it's just kind of put there on the board as information. That's normally, unless they ask for our assistance, that's not something that we are going to go to, because it was just kind of broadcast as info, not necessarily a call that we need to respond to unless something happens. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's just not, even with staffing allows, that's just not a call that we're going to go to, and because we never have in the past.
I understand that. I understand that. I guess my question is like, but could you talk to community groups and like let them know that there's an enforcement action that is going to happen? Would that be like conflicts, I guess?
Yeah, I
with that?
hadn't. A lot of time we don't know what they're doing. I mean, they can just say, "Hey, we have a warrant." It could just they don't tell us exactly what they're doing or who they're going to get, or that's not information that's in the call. It's just like, "Hey, we're in this area." That's really what that's the extent of the information we get, unless they ask for our assistance for something. But yeah, relaying information to community groups, that's not something that I've been in any discussions or heard about. I don't know if Captain Lindsay or Robert King has, but that's not something we've discussed that I've heard.
I have not heard any discussions about that. I would be concerned about just a couple of things downstream from that. One, they're giving us a heads up as a courtesy, and the investigation could be confidential. And if we start notifying community groups of that, I think our cooperation and communication and dialogue with them would falter big time. And then we'd be in the dark even more. And that could present, I think, even deeper issues. Again, I'm just off the top of my head spitballing here some ideas that came out. So whether community groups are notified is something that honestly would be a higher level policy discussion going forward. But again, are they conducting a confidential investigation, but they're just giving us a heads up that they're in the area? Will we be blowing that? If we notified a bunch of community groups and then they showed up and it completely blew an investigation of theirs, that could be seen as us hindering their ability to conduct an investigation. So I'm just thinking out loud here of some issues that could come of that.
Go ahead, Barbara.
Okay, so this is a little bit different angle, I guess. And I don't know how it would be dealt with, but I know that after World War II and the Nazi trials in Nuremberg, they were saying that even if you're following government, I believe, government rules that say you're going to arrest all Jews or all political people or something, that if the country makes illegitimate, like rules that are wrong, morally wrong, then you can't follow them. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm doing my job." And what I see happening now is that they're targeting brown and black people as a group to investigate them or even just arrest them on for mostly immigration issues. And I'm not even sure they all have immigration issues, but they're just targeting people. And so that seems wrong in the same way the World War II things are wrong. And so I don't know, how are we going to all deal with it? I mean, like I understand having to like go by the rules, but like if people are stopping, say, a car from kidnapping somebody, that would be to me different than somebody just breaking things or fighting with somebody. Just saying. And it's obviously a rather large question. So thanks for listening.
Yeah, Captain Lizzie, I didn't know if you wanted to have address that or have any comments to that question.
Well, I can't say I'm a full. I understand what she's saying regarding, like, you say I was just following orders, didn't work for the Nazis. I know that I'm not an expert on World War II, but I know a lot of that pertained to the execution of humans back then, and putting them into concentration camps, which is of course horrible. And I just right now the laws that are in place, they're in place, and you know, I keep falling back to, you know, that is a huge national discussion that I'm sorry, Captain Lindsay of the Port Police Bureau is not going to be able to solve or probably answer adequately, to be honest. But if, you know, if they are executing, you know, what are currently federal laws, enacted federal laws, that's law. And it's something that would have to be addressed at the national level, policy level, legislature. So.
Yeah, and I just want to just chime in just for a quick second. You know, if somebody's life, if we believe, if say an officer's out there and we believe force is being used and this person's life is in danger, we will step in. We're not just going to stand there and be like, oh, they're federal agents, we can't do anything. We
Right.
will step in,
yeah,
and address that. We're not going to stand by and not do anything. But when they arrest somebody because they have their reasons why they're doing it, we're not going to intervene in that. But if somebody's life is in danger, we will intervene. I just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yep.
Yeah, thank you for adding that in there. And Barbara, I did want to, I mean, I can't speak for anyone other than myself, obviously, but the history you bring up is extremely personal because my family's gone through different variations of it over the last 150 years or so, probably longer. I think the answer to there is, to your question for me, is when that moment happens that we feel we need to do something different, I think we'll know it, and hopefully everybody will have the value system and wherewithal to do what they need to. So, but I appreciate you bringing up that question because I think with all the conversation we've been having around what can we do within this framework, that is the larger questions that's looming for many people. So I really do appreciate you bringing it up.
Thanks, Kip.
Go ahead, Charlie. Charlie, you're on mute.
I thought I clicked it, and I'll take my hand down when I'm done. So I was curious. There I am. How does PPB know if the arrest is legitimate and not just depend on the agents saying so? You know, we up here in North Portland, I'm an Indigenous woman, but I know a lot of my neighbors, and we're literally living in terror. And for, I forget who said, you know, we can't let you all know that the agents are going to be here, you know, to keep an open line or whatever you said with them, to have them trust you. But how about us trusting you, you know, with knowing that they're going to be here and that we can possibly get ourselves to safety? Because even as an Indigenous woman, they are not honoring our tribal, federally recognized tribal identifications and sweeping us up into this horrific act that they're doing with our Indigenous brothers and sisters. I mean, our immigrant brothers and sisters. I guess there's a couple of questions there. Yeah, and the ones that are being picked up, who's following up? Because we get reports that no one knows where they are. And even if ICE has actually picked them up or not, you know, what is that investigation? What has it started? Like who are these strangers picking up our community members and abducting them.
Oh, I can say, you know, unfortunately, with regards to how are we verifying that the warrant is valid, we essentially we have to take their word for it. They don't have to. They're not required to show us anything. They're not required to show us a warrant. They're not required to divulge anything in their investigation to us. If you know we come across DHS agents and they say they are executing an investigation or executing federal law, we have to take their word for it. If it's something that is unlawful, that is deemed unlawful down the road, you know, the Portland Police Bureau, again, on that QR code and on the Portland Police Bureau, on the City of Portland's website, have resources for community members to pursue that. So, but with regards to, you know, their behavior, I'm sorry if they're not. I don't know what to tell you. It's horrible, and I can't imagine the fear that people are living in right now of just literally walking outside of their house. I can't even imagine or even begin to try to relate to that, and I won't try. But just it's unfortunate for me to say, unless I'm missing something from Alicia or Robert. But yeah, if they claim to be executing this, then we have to take their word at it. And again, they don't have to divulge anything to us. And if they're not abiding, you know, if they're not validating, you know, recognized identification, then that's something that needs to be brought up to Homeland Security and to the Department of Justice.
Thank you. Any more questions for PPB? Conrad.
I just wanted to give a shout out, Captain Lindsay. I know we've had several, you know, really impassioned discussions over several meetings. And what I will say is, while, you know, I don't think we're always going to find agreement or alignment, there's respect that needs to be acknowledged publicly of when you took the feedback, you took the questions, and you answered to the best that you're able to under the policies of your employment. And so I just want to commend you for that, and a big thanks to the Bureau for having that follow through. And I hope that we can have this dynamic moving forward. So if there are other questions, rather than, you know, there's no follow-up, having this follow-up and having it be publicly transparent is a big step in the right direction. So thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. I appreciate the fact that everybody understands that we don't know everything, and I don't know everything, and that you give us a chance to do follow up and come back and close that loop. Because again, I wish I knew everything, believe me, but I do not. So thank you.
Go ahead, Robert.
I just wanted to say how grateful I am, you know, to everybody that's on the call. These are really challenging and difficult times for our community. I really appreciate and respect the fact that Chief Day has made a commitment to have PPB command staff, captains and lieutenants, a part of the different conversations and present at every meeting. And like everybody on the call, I just listening tonight, I just really appreciate both Alicia and Chris and everything they've said, the way they've said it. And the one thing, Kip asked kind of a larger question earlier, and I wanted to just say just a little bit, that we know that we're in a moment when we face we're as a community, we're facing, you know, really historic and complex challenges in what's happening, you know, both in the community and especially down at the ICE facility on an ongoing basis. And we have talked internally a lot about how we we can't control federal actions, but we as a community, we as a city, we as a police bureau, we can respond. We can control how we respond, and that we are committed to responding in our community lawfully and fairly, and with respect for everybody's rights. And our goal remains the same. We are committed to the sanctity of life, protecting life, upholding constitutional rights. And part of what we're doing with RT, part of what we're doing with attendance at meetings like this, is we want to maintain, strengthen, grow, repair community trust through transparency, through being available as we are tonight, and through restraint in what we do and how we do it. We have connected with, and we've mentioned it, you maybe have heard it, but we've Commander Shaning and Chief Dobson and others in the police bureau work very closely with Dr. Stott. I know you've probably heard that, who is from England and an expert in in the science of large scale demonstrations and policing. And he tells us that policing, it's the consent model. Our ability to do our job is dependent upon the trust that our community has for us. And the doctor has recently talked with us about reinforced like these 4 pillars. So I just wanted to share them with you, so you know that we're continuing to want to get information to do what we're doing the right way. And number 1 is constitutional policing and being professional, adhering to our Constitution, being in support of peaceful protest. We want to protect free speech. You heard that tonight. We use communication. DiMatteo was very explicit about, look, we're using communication and we're de-escalating. And we make arrests, and we haven't. The chief recently said that within like the last 30 days or so, the arrests that we've made at the ICE facility, we have not used force. So we only want to use force when necessary and when it's appropriate. So that's number 1, constitutional policing and professionalism. Number 2, the doctor has pointed out how incredibly important partnerships and community resilience is in the midst of how challenging and difficult this moment is. So we're working with community leaders, organizers, residents, and we're talking about promoting, peaceful interaction, nonviolence. And we want to just continue to be supportive of the civil public engagement. And then number 3 is transparency and accountability. Transparency and accountability for trust is so critical. We're coordinating with the city, with organizations throughout the community. We want to keep the public informed. That's why we're having these we want to just have these open-ended questions and opportunities for conversation questions. And we want to continue to be present and engage in dialogue like this. And then number 4 is legal oversight and federal accountability. And that's pillar number 4. And that means that we monitor and document federal actions that are affecting Portlanders' rights. And I think it was brought up earlier in the evening that Portland Police Command officers testified at the federal court about the concerns that they have about the actions being taken by the officers at the ICE facility, about the force that they used, and about the tactics that they have employed, and that it is not consistent with our training and or with our policies, and not consistent with how we think force should be used. So our bureau, thankfully, has been, played a role in saying that's not how we do this, and it's not how we want to do it. And then we're using legal channels to ensure accountability and protect our local community and authority here in Portland, Oregon. So no end to the challenges that we're facing, but just a total commitment on the part of the chief, mayor, and I know city council, all the bureau members, to really lean into this moment and do the right thing, and then be very transparent and open and accountable with all of you as our community.
Thank you, Robert. Kip, do you mind if I move us to open public comment and then take your hand?
No, not at all.
All right. So at this time in the meeting, we're going to go ahead and move to open public comment. public comment is an opportunity for the public and PCEP members, or for the public to ask questions or put in comments that pertains to either the content of this meeting or any of the work that PCEP is doing. And if you have a question or a comment that you'd like to make, please go ahead and raise your hand. And this is an opportunity for you to share your perspective or your question. All right, go ahead, Kip.
No, I'll defer if there's public, but if there isn't, I'll go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Kip. Are there any questions or comment from the public? Go ahead, Kat.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, this isn't exactly addressing everything tonight, but some of it. My name's Kat Mahoney. I'm speaking because the city's at a crossroad. The last week we learned that one Portland police officer was caught with cocaine, another one shredded HR files from a couple of years ago. I want to point out these are not just bad apples. They are warnings. They're proof that when accountability collapses, harm becomes normal and people's lives become collateral damage. King just said transparency and accountability are important, and they are. But the people who pay the price are always the same. It's our unhoused neighbors, it's immigrants living in fear of ICE, people of color, and people struggling just to survive. So like right now, we have 12,000 people, maybe more, who are living without homes and wonder when the police will come and take their belongings, if they're gonna be given a citation, or if they're gonna be arrested simply for their financial and residential status. That's not safety. That's cruelty dressed up as law and order. Public safety cannot mean that we sweep people off sidewalks while officers walk free after misconduct. And it cannot mean protecting property while ignoring human life. And it cannot mean fear for some so that comfort can exist for others. So I'm hoping that, like, as PCEP continues growing, there is a demand for real transformation from the police. One, holding the Bureau accountable, no matter who's uncomfortable. Two, confronting bias and impunity that makes trust impossible. Three, address the directives that turn neighbors into targets. And four, strongly recommend that the mayor attends these meetings, not his staff like Chris Taft. The mayor needs to be here. He needs to meet the community, not just those he likes and those who tell him to paint a rainbow with frogs on the sidewalk at the detention facility. Portland can't claim to be progressive or compassionate while it's most vulnerable or punished for existing. We need a police force that actually protects life and not power, that builds trust and not trauma, and that remembers that every person deserves to be safe, not just the privileged, not just the housed, and not just the comfortable. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat.
Yeah, thank you, Kat. Any other comments or questions from the public? Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, TJ.
Yeah, so it's something I bring up, and I'm sure I'm going to get a roll of the eyes from someone, and that's okay. I'm looking at average response time again. So for September 2025 and October 2025, we're still over 20 minutes. That's for high priority calls. So the problem I'm having is when I have to talk to people and try to sell that the Portland police are doing good. These are the numbers that business owners are seeing. These are the numbers that some of the other citizens are seeing. What are we doing if these numbers are so bad when the goal is supposed to be 5 minutes?
TJ, is that at the end of your comment, or are you hoping for someone to address?
If someone wants to jump in and just like, because Dory, go ahead.
Oh, I just think that's such a big topic that I want to, I think that is a really good piece of public comment that probably could be assessed by the committee if there is space for a discussion at a future meeting. So rather than the back and forth during public comment is what I was saying.
Sounds good. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for that comment. Yeah.
Here you go, Tia. I will put the link in the chat. Everyone can have fun. They have a wonderful Tableau setup, which I will give them credit. The data is there in a lot of different ways, and you can look at it. 10 out of 10 for that. We're looking at average high priority response time in minutes. We can see November 1st, 24th to October 31st, 2025. High priority average response time and monthly average breakdown in minutes.
Thank
Thank you,
TJ.
TJ. Okay. Go ahead, Kip.
Yeah, thank you. A quick follow-up to TJ's comment. I know that this is something Steve Novick has raised in the CAPS meetings. So if you're not dialed into the CAPS meetings or familiar with it, I think providing the same level of information and feedback into that would be really helpful. And it is also something that has come up in PCCEP previously. So if it's something you would like us to pursue and lean into, please. I think you did just kind of state that you would like us to, but you could also send us an email and that would really help. So I appreciate that. I did want, originally raised my hand and now I have like 20 other thoughts, but I originally raised my hand to kind of echo what Conrad was saying and conversations I've had with different folks across the city in the last several weeks about with all the different challenges we face in the city already, it is heartening to see Portland move forward in a values-based sense on what we as a community find our core belief systems in. And what I am hoping to see is that coming out of this on the other side as we try to support each other through it, that gives us a brand new framework to keep moving all the good work that has been happening to go much further. And I do want to also thank the very honest conversations that we've been having. It's one of the reasons why I have put the time and effort into PCCEP in the past, and I really am seeing the renewed focus and the lean in from Chief Days and Elizabeth Perez's intentions to have a coordinated conversation between PPB, city, and PCCEP. I'm seeing a lot of value in it. So I just want to thank everyone for showing up and being present and honest, and understand that we're in a hard position, even if we're not hearing all the answers we really would like to.
Yeah, thank you, Kip. Charlie?
Yes, I would just like to say, like, I heard what I think that was Conrad saying all those things. I don't know who was saying it about the 4 pillars, but in my 70 decades on this earth and being in a police academy training recently and reading all their values, goals, principles, et cetera, and being told these things over about how great they are and follow these values, that has not been my experience. It feels very, those seem very performative. What I would like to see is actually those all listed out and brought to their attention on a regular basis. Are we doing these things? And if not, what is the strategies to start doing those things? And what is the ultimate goal? Because yeah. And therefore there is no trust. You know, when it's only words and words on a big banner in their training room, when are they going to start living up to those? Truly. I am here because of my extensive lived experience of a witness to, a target of, a victim of, and a survivor of police violence for decades. And that violence was so unnecessary. We need true accountability. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Charlie. Go ahead, Leslie.
Yeah, so I also want to yeah, I want to share like I appreciate Captain Lindsay coming and being open and transparent about the constraints that PPP has with you know, ICE and DHS, and like how you know that engagement is really difficult because of, you know, hierarchy and whatnot. And so I think like what that has brought to my mind is that we really need to kind of figure out some creative solutions, because I think Charlie nailed it when she mentioned that, like, okay, it's between the trust in the PPV, like, so like a little bit of that is like the trust between the PPV and like the federal branch, but like what about the trust between the PPV and the community? And I think if we're not seeking solutions for how we can like work together to protect the community and those that are most vulnerable, we're never going to get to that goal of constitutional policing, and we're not going to really be able to hit that. So I really hope this dialogue continues, and it's just kind of like a brainstorm and a continued conversation of like, we know what you can't do and what you're constrained to do, but like what can we do together as a community for the overall public safety. So yeah, and thank you again. I really think that was that was very transparent, and you answered all of the questions that we I think had last time.
Thank you, Leslie. And Charlie, is your question or comment short? Because we're right at time right now, but want to definitely allow you to say.
It's time for me to put my hand down.
Okay. Thank you, Charlie. I go ahead and turn it back over to Kip.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for the ongoing conversation, the tough questions, and the heaviness of the time that we're in, and being here present and honest. I really do appreciate it. So coming up tomorrow night, next slide, just so I don't forget anything. Coming up tomorrow night is the Independent Monitor Town Hall. We talked about it at the beginning. If anybody needs information on it, if somebody could post it in the chat again. Thank you, Liz. I should have known that you're on top of it. So really looking forward to that. And as Conrad mentioned earlier, we're going to have a conversation with Mayor Wilson beginning of December the 8th, I think it was. And please reach out to us in the interim with things that you would like us to discuss and pursue. I heard a couple things tonight, and please leave us your comments so that we can learn and do better and stay focused. So, Tia, anything you want to add? I can't tell.
I know, I'm sorry.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Okay. I made a to-do list as we were talking tonight, and we'll be following up with the different things we said we want to continue to work on.
Great.
Thank you all for coming tonight.
Yeah, thanks everybody. I really appreciate
And
it.
just wanna note, yeah, so as folks have said, please save the date for December 8th on a Monday night, hybrid, in-person preferred, for a meeting with the mayor and other city leadership, TBD. And we're really gonna work to make that an interactive event. So really would like to see all of you who are here tonight there. I think it's gonna be a good event. Yeah, and hopefully see you tomorrow as well at the town hall. Thank you so much, everyone, for your contributions tonight, PCCEP members, our PPB folks, and all of the community members who have given their time to be here. We really appreciate you, and good night.
Good night.
Have a good one. See you next time. Thank you.
Recording stopped.